So what happens when experience walks out the door? You see, they take far more than their skills and their technical abilities. They take their judgment. And if you're going to lose that, you're losing a major part in the safety and the way your organization executes its processes. Let me ask you this question. What percentage of the job that you do now, you learned how to do well by your peers, by working alongside others? Chances are it's a large percentage. I've done some rough surveys with some different groups, and anywhere from 50 to 90% of what they learned from their peers, people they worked with, which is a demonstration that peer-to-peer mentoring is alive and well. Leaders need to think about that in their work environment. They need to make room for the sharing of stories and the reasons behind decisions are being made. Everyday moments shape how we think and how we act and shape moments of judgment. And when we're working alongside somebody who helps us develop our judgment or helps us see things that we don't see, they're actually mentoring us. And we may not even realize it's mentoring. And they may not actually realize it's mentoring. When you tell somebody why that you're making a decision that you're making, you're mentoring them. Knowledge and judgment can be transferred. And when you think about the amount of knowledge that you've gained from others, it's proof. Statement is accurate. Think about for a moment of what it might be like that if you were working alongside somebody and they were a peer of yours and they were doing things by cutting corners. They weren't breaking any rules. They were jeopardizing their safety and the safety of their coworker. How would you respond to that? Would that be a coaching moment for you, or would that be a mentoring moment? When you're working and coaching somebody, you're talking about changing their performance. When you're talking about mentoring, you're talking about changing their judgment. And so here in this particular example, what I just shared with you, the coaching approach could backfire because they see you not as somebody who's going to help them assess their performance. But if you help them make the judgment and help them say, in my experience, if you're doing that, this is what happened to me in the past, or this is what I've seen in the past, and you relay the why behind that, you're transferring judgment. You're helping shift them. You're moving them through this continuum. I go from unaware to aware to understand to believe to act. They're unaware of the situation and the risk that they're putting themselves and others at. You make them aware of that through mentoring, and then they start to understand what it is that you're telling them and sharing with them. And then they start to believe that, in fact, what they need to do needs to change their behavior, and then they end up acting in a different way. Unaware, aware, understand, believe, and act. Those 5 steps are critical. You see, the goal is for you to coach, risk, mentor, judgment. If you were a supervisor, if you were asking one of your staff to do something and you saw them doing it, and they were putting themselves and their colleagues at risk, coach the risk first, mentor the situation after. This is why I shared with you what I shared with you. This is why I asked you to do it this way versus that way. You need to transfer the why. You see, mentoring is about the know why and the know when. Coaching is about the know how and the know what. And that's an important distinction between the two roles. Coaching is great if you're doing new tasks, you want to adjust performance, or there's a safety issue. You definitely need to step in right away. See, mentoring is about future thinking. It's about developing the skills to be able to see the terrain, be able to understand the circumstances, to be able to make a judgment call. It's a future transformational way of guiding your team forward. You see, the 3 challenges associated with mentoring and coaching, it's not the effort and the desire to want to make somebody's performance stronger or better. It's the approach that you take. If you go in with a mentoring approach when you should be coaching, you're going to miss the mark. And if you go in with a coaching approach when you should be mentoring, you're also going to miss the mark. You see, the right approach will make the difference in the outcome of the conversation that you're having with your team members, whether they're peers or whether you're a team leader. You don't need a title to be a mentor, and you don't need a title to be a coach. You do need to choose the right approach. My experience is that it's in everyday situations that knowledge gets transferred. It's in those routine things that you do every day, or it's in that task that is new to someone, but somebody else has been experienced at that task. It's how they transfer the how-to and the how-what, as well as the how-when and the how-why. Important components, those four things: how-to, how-what, how-when, and how-why. The mentorship shows up on the job each and every day. Coaching shows up on the job each and every day. We just have to recognize it for what it is. It's an important aspect as a coach and a mentor. And if you're a team leader, you need to provide the opportunities for those discussions to happen. We need to see it as an investment. Those storytellings at the break time and before and after meetings and after work and before work or during the work and while it's getting done, those conversations about the why and the when, they're important to the growth of transfer of knowledge. And that is something that you need to see as an investment in your organization and in the people who are working for you. What do you do when somebody senior who's about to leave the organization hasn't been sharing their ideas? You provide the platform for them to be able to talk about their experiences and their story. I'm going to share with you 4 tools that I've used in my past that have really been effective. The first one is the CABS model: continue, alter, begin, stop. When you're coaching, and it's a really good coaching tool, is you need to have the mindset: this is what I want you to continue doing. This is what I want you to alter doing. This is what I want you to begin doing. And this is what I want you to stop doing. Now, you don't have to use them all in the same work environment or in the same situation, but that's the mental model that I have when I'm in those situations. Is this something I want them to continue, alter, begin, or stop? It helps me with the coaching conversation. Another tool is what I call the win and wit statements. Now, the win statement is this: when you do this, the impact is this. Next time, what do you think you should try? Again, I don't use it like that, but I use the mental model of I need to explain the when you're doing what you're doing now and how you're doing it now, there's an impact with that. What do you think that impact is? Or what could the impact be? Or here's my experience of what the impact has been. Next time, what do you think we should try? Or next time, what do you think you need to do differently? You see, that win statement is another way for you to be able to mentor and coach somebody. And then the wit statement: when you do this, the impact is this. Thank you. See, if somebody's doing something well, you need to acknowledge that. And that's where the wit statement comes in. It's letting them know that when you recognize what they do and how they do it, they had a positive impact. They need to know that. And then you need to thank them for that. Because the more you do that, that's coaching, the more they'll continue to act in that way. The other tool I want to talk to you about is team huddles or morning tailgates. Doesn't matter what you call them, but those morning meetings need to be more than simply going over the results. They need to be going over scenarios. They need to be going over the near misses. They need to be going over things that will make an opportunity to share a know why and a know when. That senior person that maybe has the experience, ask them, what have you done in this situation? What would you do in this situation? Let them share their experience with the junior people. That way, that transfer of knowledge is happening real time in a meaningful way. It's a way for you to draw that knowledge out and transfer the knowledge from one person who has it to those who don't. And the fourth tool I want to talk to you about is standard work. Standard work can be your silent coach. If you're not using standard work in your organization, you're missing an opportunity. Now, it's never going to replace mentoring, and it's never going to replace that one-to-one coaching that can happen with a peer or with a team leader. But it can be there when you're not, or when your peer is not. Having standard work to refer to is going to ensure that the work gets done safely and gets done right. You use those 4 tools: the CABS model, the WIN model, huddles, and standard work. You start to set up a place and an opportunity where knowledge can be transferred. And when you're doing that, you're creating a culture of continuous improvement. If you got value from this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up, make sure that you subscribe. Don't want you to miss any future videos. And if you add a comment, I'll be sure to answer it. Thanks for watching. So